I'm going to also present this window. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another instance of our sprint planning, sprint review for Project Meteor. Let's start first with our demos section after sprint number 6. Do we have any demos ready for this time? We don't.
So we worked, like the team Telescope worked on defining the the workflow diagram for the entire application. So probably we could go over that.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
Let me share my screen. Can you see the diagram?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we spent some time on trying to understand how each of the aspects of this project is working, and we also tried a new layout so that we could see the whole picture in a more clear sense. So nothing is set in stone right now, so we could always iterate on this and try to improve it. But this is the overview, and the diagram is pretty self-explanatory, but I can quickly go over it. So we have the user to start with, and then we have the repository URL that the user give to the Meteor front end. The front end calls the API, and then we have the Meteor operator. The operator is responsible for calling the pipeline, the AICOE build pipeline for the Jupyter Hub image, for the Jupyter Lab interactive environment. So that's the first step. Then we also have the AICOE Jupyter book pipeline, which is the rendered version of the Jupyter book that's there in the repository. And then finally we have the web page where we have the Jupyter book and the login image spawn, so the user can interact with that, which has the Elira tutorial. So once we have the Jupyter Lab, we can have the machine learning development, deployment, and inference. So that's this box here. And finally, we have the metrics. So we have all the components in this picture have these red arrows that go onto the metrics component. So we show from where we are getting these metrics, basically. So that's the entire overview of the process. And hopefully this layout is trying to show that in a clear way. But yeah, I think so. We have also updated the issue and on the chat. So if you have more comments on this, we can improve this.
Shrey, do you want to mention the logic behind why you did the vertical versus horizontal, just for folks to understand that?
Yeah, also so we have a vertical version of it and a horizontal version of it, I think. Excuse me. So we can, I think, use any of that. The reasoning here is that we want to have like a time thing. So as we go down, we are actually in a like at a later stage of the tutorial. So we start with the repository URL and the Meteor operator. All the tasks here are in sequence. So these pipelines would run first, and once they are run, we would have like, for example, here we would have the deployment first, and then the service and the route, and then later in the stage we will reach the rendered Jupyter book and the Jupyter Hub login and image spawn. So that's the logic of laying it out vertically. Yeah, I guess that's it.
That looks good. I like it. We take this diagram and update the README so that it's on the center page, and then you can close out the issue. Good.
That was nice. I like it. Great. Do we have any other demos for this time? Maybe some of the analytics stuff?
Are we presenting the operator?
We can. Do you want to present it?
I mean, you can present the operator side. We can do it collaboratively. That would be better.
Okay. Do we have still the zero cluster working? It seems to be working.
I think it's working right now, yeah.
Okay, so let me try and present something. So I hope you can see my browser now. We have a deployment of the Meteor operator from the AICOE / Meteor operator repository. It's hooked to the Meteor shower UI as well. What we can do, we can either interface with it through the UI, or we can interface with it directly through the Meteor custom resources. Currently, we should be able to, let me go here, get sample. Increase BQ. This should trigger a few things through the operator. So as you can see here, we are already triggering some pipelines. This one failed, this one is running. As you can see in these other tabs in here, we get these pipeline runs for this particular object. So our Meteor was named demo, the resource was named demo, and we've used demo-Jupyter Hub or demo-Jupyter book for the pipeline, and we can take a look into what's basically happening in what stage of the pipeline. This one also currently failed, but that's not a big deal. We're still in a process of debugging those pipelines and deploying them along with the operator. So now it failed because it couldn't fetch the repository for some reason. Maybe the repository doesn't even exist. I don't know. I've just set some arbitrary values. So maybe that's why the deployment of the Jupyter book itself should start only after we have these images present and available. So we can try. Harsha, do you have any repository that works?
It should work with Elira, and I think the reason is, I think the pipeline resource, we changed that at the last moment, if you remember. So the pipeline is requiring that, but the operator doesn't have it. So we didn't deploy the latest code.
Okay.
That
So-
would be it.
Okay.
I can show it. I have another cluster where I have not the operator, but the pipeline's running. So we can show the
Okay.
pipeline.
Let's switch to your window then.
So just to iterate, what happened is we are trying to sync both Meteor and the pipelines, and we have a particular asset called pipeline resource, which we had added to the operator, but we did not deploy that part of operator. So that's why it's not able to run. So what's happening here is, let me just get to this cluster. So we will, so there the pipeline will trigger it, but here because, sorry, the operator will trigger it, but because we don't have an operator here, I'll just manually trigger them. So it's basically like OC apply and that's it. So I'll first switch to this and I'll show you from the beginning. So I'll remove all the available ones. And I'll also delete any image we have. So that you know we are not cheating, I'll show you that we have not pre-built images. So there is no Jupyter Hub or Jupyter Book image. So that is correct, right? So I'll apply the pipeline for testing. And as you can see here, or here, this is the dashboard where you can see all the Tecton pipelines running. As this is deployed on a PSI cluster, that's why I'm on VPN. But as you can see, I have triggered two pipelines. One is for Jupyter Book, one is for Jupyter Hub. The difference here is the Jupyter Book will build the Jupyter Book HTML files or those files which are needed for deployment, and then containerize it into an HTTPD container, which is basically like a Nginx serving container, and that directly gets deployed by the control operator and into a deployment or deployment config, and it will show up as a route or a service, right? So that's the first pipeline. Second pipeline is a Jupyter notebook. So this is also taking some information. It's trying to containerize it into a S2I image. If you would have seen S2I custom notebook repository, that's the image which this is using. So this will customize those notebooks into a fashion so that it can open up in Jupyter Hub. Once it containerize it, it will push those image streams. Let's refresh it. There should be 2 image streams here now. And they're not. Why not?
Now it's there.
As you can see here, currently there is nothing, no tag, but that's the job of the pipelines to build and push them. So we will wait for them. This one should be quick. So it's pushing. Yeah, it's on that stage. So it's pushing to that image stream, and it should push, but it failed because of some other reason that I can fix. But it has able to push successfully, as we can see here, which is Jupyter Books. If you can scroll down, there would be a SHA. So this is what it should do. It was able to push, but it was not able to push the metric, so it failed, which is not an issue in the real one. So the second step is from the operator. The operator would deploy it. So we have a deployment config already available for testing. I'll just spawn it. So this is the job of the operator. It would have scaled it to 1, and it will start a pod, as you all know, and it will try to pull the image.
I don't think the operator is using any deployment configs. It's creating a
But
new dependent deployment that is dependent on or owned by the Meteor resource, so it can be garbage collected altogether. As you can see, all of this is currently in a very rough shape, still in development. We're putting the pipelines together with the operator basically during this morning. So yeah. Another thing, Harshar was showing Tecton dashboard, which is just a different view that you can get in the OCP console right down here on the left within the pipelines tab. So it's just to lower some confusion. It's the same data you're seeing the same data, just a different view that you get on it.
Where's the pipeline definition? In which repo?
The pipeline definition will coexist with the operator, so it will get deployed with the operator. So right now we have a pending PR with the pipeline definition to the Meteor operator repository. It's this PR. Let me link it in here.
So while Tom is showing that, as you can see, the deployment is completed. Then there should be a service, which is test, and then there should be a route, which is test. And if we click on this, it should take us to the HTML, which was containerized into the image. So this is serving from that HTTPD container directly into OpenShift. So this would be the page where it will show up, essentially. I hope this is what we wanted from the Jupyter book. And now, sorry, book, yes. And then going to the Jupyter Hub. So the Jupyter Hub is building. This it will take more time because as you know, it's a bigger image. It has more stuff to install, all the dependencies which are needed for Jupyter Hub to spawn that image into in a correct manner. So it takes some time to build. So this image will also be bigger in size. So it will take some time to push. Once this pushes, we have 2 additional steps in here. This is from respect to Toth. So what Toth does is while building, it will try to query Toth advisors. Suppose the Toth advisor fails, it will fall back to the requirements which are already available in that repository. It will not break the build, it will let it build, it will push that, and then because it had failed, it will send an image analysis to Toth endpoint so that next time it can learn and fix that. So that's the another step. So this is just a step from Toth's side. This will not hinder with anything else. So essentially, after the push, this pipeline has completed. Rest of the things are just some feedback loops which are going into it. So once this is done, we should see the same flow, image stream getting updated with that tag. But I cannot run it because I don't have Jupyter Hub here, but we can push it to GUI and test it out. It should definitely run. So that's about it. If anyone has any questions. Sorry, Tom. Yeah.
I think we're getting too much into detail in here. I think the main idea here to cover was that, yes, we can trigger pipelines. Yes, we can collect the outputs now. And that this is working towards a fully functional Lyra tutorials using Meteor very soon.
Thank you.
Great. Do
Awesome.
we have any other demos?
We have.
Go ahead, Michael.
I was gonna say we don't really have a proper demo this week. We're just an extension, just an update, and or extending what we were doing last time of going through the tutorial. We're creating a document that kind of outlines all the sticking points that we identified as users, and they need to be converted into additional issues that we'll be working on throughout probably the next sprint or so. I can share this document with all of you. But again, it's just a document, no proper demo.
Is that an update of the document that you presented last time?
Yes, so we didn't fully get through the entire presentation last time, or the entire tutorial. So this is now, having gone through all of it, updated, and I believe other folks have added their contributions to it as well. So yes, it's an extension of last time.
Did you create any issues out of these bullet points?
Yeah, I believe we created a number of issues, but not all of them, because there's some that are new. That's it. I would say the bulk of the comments are just simply ease of use, about making sure that all the instructions that somebody needs to get through the demo are present and you're not being sent to other repositories. And just making sure that what is written and what you're being asked to do makes sense in context of having a Meteor project spawned for you. So.
Cool. Looks nice. Any other demos?
Yes, I mean, not really a demo, just really quick updates. So for this sprint, we were looking to configure Prometheus metrics for the Meteor Shower app, the operator, as well as I think the pipelines. So we did get some of the metrics in. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Anand, for helping us out. I can just quickly show you what we have. Shouldn't take too long. So yes, this is part of issue 51. So like we mentioned earlier, we have around 4 different pieces through which we want to tie in Prometheus. So one is the web app. So basically for this, we need to scrape a / metrics endpoint that had to be enabled for us to expose some default, I think, HTTP and Node.js related metrics that Tom has created for us. Oh, that was the wrong endpoint, my bad. So we have that now, and the same list of metrics that you see here should also be available here within Prometheus. This is being added to the operate first Prometheus. So we have a bunch of metrics here. Of course, we're going to be working on getting a Grafana dashboard for the ones which are relevant. So that's going to be an upcoming sprint task that we will start looking into. And then the second piece of it was getting it for the operator itself. Again, this is was helped with Anand's, where we just had to, again, configure the metrics endpoint for this. So we can, again, query it through our Prometheus, searching for this operator-related metrics specifically. So we have a bunch based on what the operator activities are going on. We can look at the defined metrics that we see here. As you can see, there are a bunch. But again, we will only pick the ones which are the most relevant to us. So that's going to be another task that we will start to identify and break down these metrics which are related to us. And then the third part were the actual pipelines and the pipeline operations, which Harshad has helped us with. I believe for the Tecton pipelines, we have inbuilt OpenShift metrics that can be added and scraped to our Prometheus as well. So that is something that we were working on. And the second piece of it is the pipeline operations themselves. For example, what Harshad was showing us in the demo, things like all your tag releases and image build process that's happening. You need to expose these metrics through a push gateway. So Harshad has helped us deploy a push gateway that we have specifically for the Meteor namespace. So we have this push gateway where we can submit these short-lived customized metrics. For example, you want to look at things like what was the number of images that were pushed, what was the time taken for these pushed images created, how many images did we push in total, were there any that failed, and things like that. So these were some initial metrics that we have sort of created, and I think we have a separate for Jupyter Book as well. Similar Jupyter Book image build processes. We're trying to look at the time taken for these sort of image builds that have taken. And again, these are just the raw metrics for now, of course, but for the metrics that we have defined, for example, you want to know the rate of success of these image builds and things like that, we're going to do custom PromQL queries based on these raw metrics that we have here. So now that we have these push gateway metrics again available, this is going to be scraped through the Operate First Prometheus as well. So we should have everything available through the monitoring setup from Operate First. And yeah, so that's regarding Prometheus metrics and what all we were able to configure. Another thing that we, yeah, sorry, does someone have a question?
I have one suggestion. The metrics for Meteor operator that we have exposed, they are the default metrics that are being exposed using Cube Builder. So instead of looking through the current metrics that are the default metrics, I feel like we should make a list of metrics that we would want, and we can add them in the operator. It'll be easier.
Yes, I agree. We have an issue for that as well. There's a follow-up to like discuss the required and identify the required metrics that we want. So we can, like you said, just mention those and then hopefully use only those defined metrics. So yeah, we can do that in that issue for this sprint. Yeah, so this is regarding Prometheus. And I think one more thing that we sort of worked on was similar how we had demoed, I think 2 sprints prior. We did a Google Analytical dashboard for the Elira Jupyter Book HTML page rendered. But that was just a POC that we were doing off of Shrey's fork of the tutorial. We are still yet to submit a PR for the upstream tutorial so that we can add the GA tag for it. But for now, we've added the GA tag to the Meteor shower web page as well. So now we've just duplicated everything, and the dashboards that we have now is going to reflect whoever visits the Meteor shower web page. So we have Google Analytics pulling up for everybody who visits this website. We will start collecting data for this live website now. So this is the exact same dashboard we showed earlier, but we've just going to replicate this for the current Meteor shower web application. So we have this configured now for the upstream, and we're going to do the same thing for the Elira Jupyter Book rendering as well. So we should be set with all the Google Analytical related metrics that we need for all the upstream repos now. So yeah, that's what we've done for this sprint.
For the Google Analytics, just to add to it, we're reporting Web Vitals, which is like a Google-based library for reporting different web performance metrics as well. So we will definitely look into those somewhere down in the future. it's basically reporting like how long it took for a client to load the page and fully access all the data, and all these performance related details as well. So with this, we have full visibility into what people will ever be doing with the website. So that's all in place and ready to be explored. Great. Now let's get to planning the next sprint. Which window is it? This one. So I see no completed tasks in sprint number 6 and in sprint number 5. Is that intentional? Did we forget to move some cards in here?
It looks like the automation for done is for sprint number 4. So I think they've all been populating in that column.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That may be the case.
So maybe we remove the automation and have to do it manually then.
Yeah, I'll go through these, or whoever closed any issues in the last 2 weeks, just go through your issues in this list and just move them to the appropriate sprint if you can, please.
Maybe just do it now. And it will appear magically on your screen. Look, Michael did something.
Doesn't work, Marcel. Good. That's fine. That's the goal of this sprint, to align our previously completed task with the sprint. Okay, let's focus on the next sprint then. What do we want to achieve in the shooting star work stream?
Yes, I think we want to continue our goal. So actually we should change it. So recording, running through the demo to identify friction points, something we did with that document that I just shared. So now we want to actually implement that. We had a holdover issue called edit content of repository to match outline, which at the bottom. I think that was actually referencing a different outline, but is relevant and can be repurposed, I think, for this sprint goal. It can just be that name.
So Francesco, you are back from PTO. Are you here?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Bueno. So given that you will be running this workshop at DEF CONF US with Bajek.
And Tom.
And Tom. Okay. Maybe you identify with Team Shooting Star one of the issues that might be really beneficial for your workshop, because in the end it will be opening issues for the Elira tutorial and then work on them, right?
Yeah.
So I think we need some of your guidance to identify which is low-hanging fruit, which is something that we shouldn't change before the workshop, something that we should change before the workshop. So if we can use Meteor for the workshop, that would be super awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely Francesco, having your feedback on some of these things. And if you want, we can go over it offline, some of the proposed changes, but definitely don't want to do anything drastic before a presentation in a couple weeks.
Okay, let's go through those changes. I think most of the things are there already. I'm not sure if you want to add really a lot more things, because I think the tutorial is mostly complete.
Yeah.
And if you can do it on Meteor, then basically they can do everything by themselves. You just need to follow them as we did last time.
Yes, I mean, given the longer document that we just created with friction points, I mean, it's complete. Yes, we certainly don't want to add stuff, but maybe we want to remove stuff or automate some stuff or rewrite some stuff, depending on what the workshop. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and given the so we talked about removing some things, and I think Francesco, but definitely Christoph was quite adamant that nothing should be removed, that we were kind of free to rearrange or add, but removing was extremely not encouraged. So that's kind of the path that we've been taking as far as make it smoother is only add content or move things around.
Okay, so let's just go through these frictions and let's see what how we solve them or how we make them easy. Okay, we can have a call if you want with the team, and let's go through it.
Does the summary catches the goal properly, or do you want to word it differently, Michael?
Sorry, what was your question?
Is the goal summary in the sprint number 7 worded properly for what you imagine to be the goal to be?
I mean, yeah, sure, that's part of it. I mean, I guess it's just would be yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We can leave it that way.
Okay. Okay, team or workstream telescope. What do you want to achieve this sprint?
So we have, I think, 2 issues in the to-do column. One is issue number 58, and then this follow-up right below a Grafana dashboard for Prometheus metrics. So similar to address Anand's point about instead of just getting all the default metrics, figuring out which is the one which are most relevant. So that's part of issue 58, identify the required or relevant metrics, and then getting a dashboard in place for us based on all these different metrics that we have. So that's going to be the goal for this sprint.
Or the commit workstream would like to finish finally the build pipeline integration, and that's it. There are some minor polishing that we need to do along the way, but the end goal should be to have all the pipelines ready and being able to handle the LiDAR tutorials, basically the scenario for DevConf in place by the end of this week, using the operator and using all the stuff that we have in place currently. So I would say let's leave it with the complete build pipeline integrations. What do you think, Harshad? Okay.
Yeah, sounds good.
So,
given this power outage in the MOC, is there any possibility that we can even work on that stuff, or do we have a backup plan for moving certain work to the RIC cluster or PSI?
the way how we've set up the operator and the UI, it's basically deployed wherever you want. So you can even have your own developer version on your dev cluster anywhere. and it also is going to deploy the build pipelines and everything. The only thing that we can't replicate this way is the external system. So our thought dependencies for the requirements, suggestions, and things like that. So, but the pipeline will fall back to a local resolution anyway. So that's something we can live with.
Okay.
We can develop this and work on this independently from MOC and basically any cluster. It's designed so you can spin it up on your local code-ready containers or wherever you want.
And I guess for the shooting star work, it's mostly GitHub work and creating issues, fixing Markdown. Julio.
So for us, will Prometheus be down? Should we should we use Data Hub Grafana to look at our stuff? I'm not sure how we should go about this.
Even if you use Data Hub Grafana, you don't have the metrics data, right? So
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, I think we can still identify the metrics that we think are useful. That part we can do.
yeah, we can do that. And I think we have few issues which we didn't close out. So hopefully we clear off all of that as well.
And you also know the structure of the metrics, so you can design a Grafana dashboard and then just wait for the data. Yeah. That means, Marcel, to answer it, it's somewhat limiting, but not impossible to work on it at least.
Okay. Good for me, bad for you.
As always.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Good.
Okay.
And Isabel, I think you created a document with a rundown with some screenshots for this Meteor workflow, and basically an end-to-end thing. So I don't know if rumor already made the round, but I talked to a lot of you folks already that this Meteor thing is now getting some traction within the CTO office. So a lot of folks are thinking about and around it. Maybe this is how what we show in Chris Wright's next summit keynote, which will be next year's summit, so not like the fall summit. But a lot of folks are getting bought into this idea that we have something end-to-end to show for, that this can be extendable, that can be reused for training, that can be reused for showcasing and surfacing stuff. So yeah, once the new MOC cluster is up and running and we can actually do some end-to-end demo, here's the URL to drop in, then we see all those pipelines being run, and then we go into a pipeline because there was an error, and then we re-trigger the pipeline because we fixed the error, and then we go to the book and to the tutorial. And so if we would have it actually supporting this workshop at DEF CONF, so that folks are just forking the repository into their environment, and then they use Meteor to deploy the tutorial into their namespace or into their Jupyter environment, that would be super awesome. So it's what I'm saying is I think we're already getting some deserved attention. Thank you. Clap, clap.
Good.
Thank you.
Any more questions to the next sprint? Any concerns? Anybody? No? Everybody's all sold on what we want to achieve the next sprint. Good. Everybody has something to work on. Marcel does. Great.
Yes, I always have stuff to work on.
Good. Then let's call it a day. Have your 14 minutes back and see you online.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right.